Okay, so we've been talking about suffering, then we talked about beauty, and now we're going to just end this last couple lessons talking about health. One of the pieces of being a confident girl who's healthy, who has healthy relationship with God, herself, and others, is learning how to handle our shame. The thing is that most of us don't talk about shame. It's not one of those common things that we just kind of flippantly talk to our kids about. But it's really important to help distinguish the difference between healthy shame and toxic shame. Some people don't even like to use the word shame, but I want to talk to you a little bit about what you're going to be talking to your daughter in terms of definitions, her own shame, and then how do you respond to shame. So shame is this attack on our identity. It's really this lie that goes at the heart of who we are, saying, you are bad. So you know that moment when you make a mistake, it's that embarrassing feeling when somebody is pointing out a glaring mistake you made or a flaw that you have, that feeling inside. Some of us carry it in our gut. Some of us feel it in our face. Your face might even go flush. That's shame. Shame is this deep-seated place that says, when I mess up, I am bad. But God created us with a conviction, a place, a conscience actually, to be able to be convicted when we do something wrong, when we mess up, when we hurt one another. That's called guilt. And some people like to call that healthy shame. When you feel bad after you've done something wrong and you've hurt someone, you've hurt God, you've hurt yourself, you've hurt someone else, we hope that you actually feel a little bit of guilt. Because if you don't, then that puts us like on the narcissistic spectrum, just to warn us. So it's healthy for us to feel guilt. What's not healthy is when that's prolonged, or when somebody continues to remind you, you did this, you do this all the time, and we start to label one another based on our mistakes. That's when it moves into toxic shame. The enemy lives in shame. He loves to get us to shame. He attacks our identity, and all those little lies that our girls and you are struggling with as a mom is related to this idea that I am my mistakes. But God comes in and he saves the day. Jesus says, you are not your mistakes. In fact, I have a remedy for that. One of my favorite things about the Christian faith is that it's never too late. In fact, it's not always what we do, but what we do after what we did that matters most in our faith. We have the ability to confess. We have the ability to ask forgiveness. We have the ability to make things right. It takes courage and it takes practice. Your 9th and 10th grade daughter is still learning how to deal with that emotion. And if you can help her at this stage of her life, understand what shame is, how it shows up in her body, what to do with it, and how we can bring it to God and we can bring it to one another and we can trade it out for forgiveness and a sense of confidence and a sense of grace. If you can teach her that, her ability to stand tall and to make good choices and to live in the abundant life God has called her to even grows greater. I am so excited that you continue to pursue your daughter's heart. But if you guys can keep working on this, even the shame language we sometimes use towards ourselves. For example, she's sitting at homework and doing homework. She's frustrated with herself, and she says, I am so stupid. That's shame language. You are not stupid just because you struggle with your homework. So we're helping her to separate. You're struggling with your homework right now, but that isn't an attack on your identity and who you are. You're not stupid. You're just struggling right now. So think about catching those phrases of I am ... Try to catch those with yourself, with your daughter, and begin to grab them and replace them with I am loved and I struggle sometimes here. I'm actually very klutzy. I often forget things. Literally, I will lose my keys, my phone. My family makes fun of me all the time in this area. But that doesn't mean that defines who I am. One of the things that I tend to do is I can mix up words and I can say the wrong thing at the wrong time. And yet I'm also gifted with communication and being able to use my words to bring life. The enemy would try to kill, steal, and destroy and keep me from speaking. by honing in and saying, you say dumb things. That means you are ... right? And I fight that. So I have to hold tight to those truths. I am loved, and I can be confident that God will show up and use my words. And yes, sometimes I say the wrong thing at the wrong time, but I can make it right. I can own it. I can ask forgiveness if I need to go that far. Teasing this out with your daughter, talking about those shame messages, grabbing them and replacing them with truth, practicing this over and over is a vital part of her confidence and not allowing the enemy to kill, steal, and destroy her beautiful identity. When we know that we are loved, that our identity is not in what we do, that we can repair, we can own, and our mistakes are a part of the growing process, then we can actually make healthy choices. It's shame that drives us to hide, to pull away, and to pretend, right? And our daughters need a safe place to make mistakes, to process through, and to not be defined by them. So talk about this. And honestly, Mom, you might have had some history with your daughter where she felt shamed by you. I have had to have those conversations with both my daughters. In fact, not even too long ago, my youngest was calling me out and saying, Mom, I'm feeling some shame right now. And that is a big word in our home. And I had to pause and I had to look at her and I said, help me understand what's happening. So we were able to talk through that. And in my own flesh, and in my own temptation to control and want things to look a certain way, Mom, can you relate? I had to pause and to check in with my daughter and listen to her, a young teenager who's been equipped with the language of shame, and for us to talk about how I was making her feel. We had a beautiful repair, and both of us felt closer on the other side of that. That's what I'm inviting you into. This ongoing conversation, because these teen years are vital. Most of the coping strategies, the unhealthy ones that girls do in their teenage years, is rooted in shame. So let's go after that root. Let's dig it up so the weeds don't have a place to grow and attack it with grace and an identity founded in I am loved and I can repair any mistakes that I've made because I have a God who loves me, who sees me, and uses it all for his good. Keep going, keep having these conversations, and know that God is growing confidence in both you and your daughter every step of the way.